Welcome to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Please remember to hit the thumbs up, to like, subscribe, and share. Thank everyone for being here today. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for my mod, Chris Miller. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, everybody that's at Facebook that's coming to listen as well. God bless each and every one of y'all. Let's remember this is for the children. Stand up for our children. This happens too often. Okay. It's copyright disclaimer under the Copyright Act of 1976, under Section 107. Allowances made for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Let me warn you, this will be difficult. We need to learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take out the cause of the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow. Right. This will be difficult for all of us. It will make us angry, but I think that's okay. Let's put it to the proper ways that we can use it. In Matthew 18, verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. So even God didn't like it, okay? Look at this sorry excuse for a human being right here. Jorden Borders, age 39, from Cross Lake, Minnesota. The district court judge, Patricia Ains, found Borders guilty of 3 counts of child torture, 3 counts of stalking, 1 count of attempted murder, and 4 counts of theft by false representation. That's Medicaid. Without further ado, y'all want to? Y'all can say hello. And I'll try to stay into the group where I can see the comments and stuff. What's about it, I guess. If I get mad, everybody's going to get mad about this, I promise you. If anybody needs to go, it's okay if you do. This Minnesota mom. Her abuse included medical fraud, physical violence, and threatening children with weapons. Jorden, and this was 11 hours ago. Sorry, piece of crap. Jorden Borders. See, that's how you spell it. A Minnesota woman, Jorden Borders, has been sentenced to nearly 40 years of prison for disturbing and prolonged campaign of child abuse, torture, and fraud. The sentence follows her conviction on 11 different charges, including attempted murder, 3 counts of child torture, 3 counts of stalking, and 4 counts of theft by false representation. The case, prosecuted jointly by the Minnesota Attorney General's Office, Medicaid Fraud and Criminal Divisions, detailed a horrifying 5-year period of abuse against Porter's 3 children. Attorney General Keith Ellison described the facts proven in court as nothing short of horrifying and said it breaks my heart into pieces to think about what the children endured. The facts we proved in court are nothing short of horrifying. It strains the imagination and breaks my heart into pieces to think about the torture and anguish, physical, mental, and emotional, that borders that inflicted on our own children. I ask every Minnesotan to join me in praying for these children's healing. I'm going to ask everyone out there that's listening to join us in praying for these children. I'm glad we have the tools under the law to hold borders fully accountable, and I am exceedingly proud of the talented team from our Medicaid fraud and criminal divisions that did so. I am also very grateful for the partnership of the Crow Wing County and Stearns County Attorney's offices and for the hard work of all the agencies that investigated these horrific crimes. Okay, really, she's going to be treated better than her own kids were. Yeah, she's going to be in jail. She's going to get food and water, but she even kept food away. You would not believe the different lengths when we're going to go with that and the different things we go. The trial exposed Porter's deeply unsettling methods, which went far beyond physical violence. She engaged in medical child abuse, fabricating severe illnesses for her children to gain attention and defraud the state's Medicaid program. She forced blood extraction. Borders was found to have repeatedly and forcibly withdrawn blood from her then 9-year-old child using syringes and medical lines. She would then present the child to the doctors who were baffled by the dangerously low hemoglobin levels. See, she took blood just so that she could go and say, "Look, my child is so dangerously ill. So if something happens to him, guess what? It's not going to be my fault. It's a hazard with his health, right?" Sicko. Fabricated illnesses. Borders self-diagnosed her children with serious conditions like osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease. She forced them to wear casts and neck braces for years, with one child wearing a cast for over 2 years without having any confirmed fractures. So she did this medical stuff herself and put casts on them, evidently. Medicaid fraud borders used the fabricated medical information to get one child approved for personal care assistant services. She then claimed to provide these services herself, receiving over 18,000 in fraudulent payments. The abuse was not limited to these deceptions. All 3 children testified that their mother beat them with charging cords and belts, withheld food, and forced them to stand outside in the cold until their bodies felt like they were burning. The children also revealed that boarders will regularly threaten to kill them, sometimes with knives and guns. On June the 4th, 2025, Judge Patricia Ains found Borders guilty on all counts. On August 7th, she was sentenced to 468 months, just shy of 40 years, in state prison. Borders' parental rights to the children had already been terminated. But see, that still didn't stop her. I got to show y'all more in a few minutes. Y'all see what I mean? That still didn't stop a sick woman, okay? The case was investigated by a number of agencies, including the Cross Lake Police Department and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The AGO highlighted the crucial role of all agencies involved and extended thanks to the Stearns County Attorney's Office for providing Nova, a courthouse facility dog who provided comfort to the children as they testified. Thank y'all so much for bringing something where the kids could deal with that when they had to testify. It's sad that they had to go like that and testify in front of everybody. Attorney General Ellison's office noted that the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit, which was instrumental in prosecuting the case, continues to seek enhanced funding and expanded legal authority to better investigate and prosecute such crimes. Okay, so let me go to the next one right here. I'm warning y'all, this is going to be bad, all right? What do you know up front? Cross Lake mom who tortured children sentenced to 39 years. Okay. A child maltreatment investigation began in 2022 after Children's Minnesota Hospital in the Twin Cities treated one of the children. This is the Crosswing County District Court. This was August the 7th, 2025. In Brainerd, Jorden Nicole Borders, the 34-year-old Cross Lake woman found guilty of torturing her three children, was sentenced to 468 months in prison Thursday, August the 7th, in Crow Wing County District Court. Borders was found guilty June the 5th by Judge Patricia Ains on all 11 counts in which she was charged. You know what? If they get mistreated in the prison, it's going to be like inhumane. But look at the inhumanity that she did to her own children and that she was going to try to do with other children as well. So we'll go into that in a few. One count of first degree attempted murder, 3 counts of child torture, 3 counts of stalking, and 4 counts of theft of medical costs. About 50 people filled the gallery Thursday as Borders was brought into the courtroom in chains. I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall, wearing jail blues, and took a seat next to her attorney, Mark Hansen. Both prosecuting attorneys, Dominica Kins and Mary Russell of the Minnesota Attorney General's office, were present in the courtroom, asking if both the state and defense were ready to proceed in sentencing. Hansen told the court they did not agree with the recommendation or proposals for sentencing. Ains said it was noted. Attorneys for the state said they had nothing to add. Right. All victim impact statements were submitted ahead of time to the court and were not read out loud. For the state, Kins asked the court to impose a longer sentence from sentencing guidelines with a triple upward departure for counts 1 and 3, child torture, and the maximum for count 11, attempted murder to run consecutively, a sentence of 48.5 years. Ken said the sentence is more than appropriate based on the evidence of what Borders did, and her conduct warrants consecutive aggravated sentencing. Concurrent sentencing means serving at the same time, where consecutively means serving the sentence one after another, which is better. The medical issues in the children were created by her, Ken said, adding that prolonged infliction of abuse became their normal for years. She abused her position of authority, said Kens, and she stripped them of their actual childhood. Ken said there was no amount of time appropriate for her crimes, but the state was bound by law and its sentencing guidelines. They note that all those involved in the case endured their own trauma. She then read an excerpt from Borders' mother saying Borders tortured the children she uh, should have been blessed to have, and with Borders in prison, she finally gets to be a grandmother to them, as she was not allowed to see them when Borders had custody. In an excerpt from the adopted parents, Ken said they asked for a sentence that would show the children the state saw their pain and they were worth saving, the three of them. Yes, they are worth saving. Thank y'all for stepping up. In Borders' pre-sentence investigation paperwork, Ken said the examiner said Borders showed no emotion and had a grandiose idea of self-importance, that she felt she was entitled and she was arrogant. The pre-sentence investigation said Borders lacks empathy and shows no level of concern, remorse, or empathy for her actions. She's not sorry for how she did her kids. It's all about her self-importance, that she's entitled. Ken said even during trial, Borders continued to try and influence those involved by directing the actions of her husband, Christopher Badowitz. When Borders was awaiting trial in order not to have any contact with anyone under the age of 18, investigators became aware, note this, y'all, in January 2024, that she was reaching out to a woman to get the woman's child sent to Borders for a 2-week period. I kid you not. She was ordered that she's not supposed to be with anyone under the age of 18. Yet she was trying to get this person to send her kid for 2 weeks. There's another instance right here too, y'all. In another instance, Borders tried to convince a woman in Missouri to use a sperm donor to have children so that they could raise them together. See, look how horrible she is. Wow. Borders is an imminent risk to the safety of others, especially children, Ken told the court. The pre-sentence investigation noted justice needs to send a clear and unambiguous message. Ken asked the judge to sentence her to the maximum allowable time by law, even though she deserves more. Hansen reminded the court Borders has a criminal history score of 0 and asked the court to follow the guidelines imposed by the state. In Minnesota, criminal based on their prior criminal record. That's because she kept getting away with it. How many other kids has she inflicted kids to her house as well, right? Attempted murder is not murder, and the sentence should reflect as such. Hansen said. He then informed the court of Borders' plans to file an appeal. So, attempted murder, if you feel that way, how about they go ahead and drain a lot of your blood and see how you like it? See when you're on the brink of death, huh? How about you being threatened with knives and guns? How would you like it then, huh? Oh, but you're more important than your kids, huh? You're entitled, right? You're entitled. Oh, it's okay. Ancient sentence Borders on count 11, attempted murder, to 240 months confinement, count 1 and 3. Child torture, she received 114 months for each. The 3 sentences were upward departures and will run consecutively for a total of 468 months. For count 7 through 10, death and medical costs, she received 21 months, 23 months, 23 months, and 21 months. The charges are to run consecutively to one another and concurrently to charges 1, 3, and 11. Restitution for counts 7 through 10 totaled $19,920.49. Counts 2, child torture, and 4 through 6, stalking, had no sentence imposed on them. Can you believe that? Counts 2 and 4 through 6, child torture, stalking, had no sentence imposed on them? Why not? We want to ask why not. Who else believes that she needs more of a sentence? Who else believes that she should have to pay for all her crimes, the child torture and the stalking? Who agrees with me there? In Minnesota, a sentence consists of a minimum term of imprisonment equal to 2/3 of the total sentence, and supervised release equal to 1/3 of the total sentence. Borders crimes are some of the most heinous and agonizing I have seen in my time as Attorney General. I am praying for her children, Ellison, Minnesota Attorney General, in a news release. I am extremely grateful to everyone involved in holding Borders accountable, from the Crow Wing County and Stearns County Attorney's offices to the AG prosecutors and all of our team on the case of the members of law enforcement who investigated. Excuse me, I don't really feel that you held her all the way accountable if you did not give her the time for her torture. You did not give her the time for the stalking. So that is not full accountability. We would like full accountability, people. Full accountability, not partial, but full accountability. All right. Borders charges. Borders was initially charged on November the 21st, 2022, with three serious felony counts of child torture and three felony counts of stalking following a child maltreatment investigation by the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office. Can you imagine though? She got a syringe and took the kid's blood just to go to the. That sounds like Munchausen syndrome, something like that. Um, on December the 1st, 2023, she was also charged with felony first degree premeditated attempted murder. That was the second time the criminal complaint against Borders was amended. In March of 2023, Borders was also charged with four counts of felony theft related to fraudulently obtaining money for medical costs. The investigation revealed Borders allegedly tortured her three young children through actions like withdrawing blood, forcing them to wear casts and neck braces despite not having injuries, and inflicted frequent physical abuse as punishment. Doctors from multiple healthcare systems, puzzled by Borders' children's unexplained health problems over the course of 3 years, began to share similar and troubling suspicions of abuse. A July the 13th application for a search warrant filed by the sheriff's office detailed extensive efforts by professionals to settle on cohesive diagnosis for the child before Borders' arrest. While a litany of surgeries, procedures, and unusual test results failed to clarify the 9-year-old boy's condition. Wow, so the boy actually had surgeries also because of the mother's lies? Wow. It led to speculation about Borders' role in causing or fabricating his illnesses. Wow, wow, wow. The then 9-year-old wasn't the only child affected by Borders' alleged abuse. The criminal complaint outlining the charges filed against Borders revealed she self diagnosed two of her other children, an 11-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl, with osteogenesis imperfecta, known as brittle bones disease. At the time, Borders' Facebook profile showed references to the disease in relation to her children dating back to at least 2016. So no doctor ever diagnosed the kids of some of that, but she self-diagnosed. The children's interviews with authorities included descriptions of other kinds of physical and emotional abuse. Crow Wing County placed a 9-year-old in protective custody in May of 2022. Community services monitored the care of the other two children before they were removed from the home in July. I mean, look at there. They got the one of the kids out, but they didn't get all three of the kids out. Wow, until later. What say y'all? I am shocked just at that statement there. They had to live in that hell a couple more months. Borders was not allowed unsupervised contact with the children after their removal. With the criminal charges filed against Borders, one of her conditions release barred her from any contact with anyone under the age of 18. Borders and her husband later agreed to terminate their parental rights in a December 22 court hearing. Why isn't the dad not charged? Does the daddy not know anything, right? This might have a little bit more information on it. Jorden Borders guilty on all counts of child torture and Medicaid fraud case. Okay. That's a Cross Lake woman physically, mentally, and emotionally abused her three children for years, defrauded Medicaid by receiving payment for PCA services based on false medical information she provided to public health nurses. Found guilty by court 11 charges of attempted murder, child torture, stalking, and theft by false representation. Case referred to the AGO, Attorney General's Office, by Crow Wing County Attorney, tried jointly with the AGO Medicaid Fraud and Criminal Division. and this was June the 4th. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison announced that his office attained guilty verdicts today at the criminal trial of Jordan Marie Borders in Crow Wing County District Court. Judge Patricia Ames found Borders guilty of all 11 charges. One count of attempted murder, 3 counts of child torture, so there is torture, 3 counts of stalking, and 4 counts of theft by false representation. In November 2022, the Crow Wing County Attorney's Office charged Borders with child torture and stalking of crimes against her 3 children. The charges were later amended to include 4 counts of theft by false representation and attempted murder of one child. In February 2024, Crow Wing County Attorney Donald Ryan referred to the case to Attorney General Ellison's office under Minnesota statutes. Okay, when she kept threatening him with weapons, with knives and guns and stuff, don't you think that there also needs to be some charges for threatening? I don't even see endangering the welfare of a child. I don't see some of these other charges that could be in there as well, right? The facts we proved in court are nothing short of horrifying. It strains the imagination and breaks my heart into pieces to think about the torture and anguish. I think we done read most of that part right there. I'm grateful for the partnership of the Crow Wing County and Stearns County Attorney's Office for the hard work of all agencies that investigated these horrific crimes. Details of child abuse and torture follow. Here are the let me warn y'all in advance, okay? As proven at trial, Borders physically, verbally, and emotionally abused her 3 minor children, okay? For more than 5 years. Borders' acts included, but were not limited to, engaging in medical child abuse by performing specific acts against their children that led them presenting with false medical conditions to their medical providers. This included Borders forcibly withdrawing blood from her then 9-year-old child prior to her doctor visits with a syringe through a PICC line or through a center line. Borders then presented the child at doctor's visits in hospitals where she was observed as having dangerously low hemoglobin, as he was, hemoglobin levels. Borders also self-diagnosed her children with other diseases, which we saw that, and forced her children to wear boots, casts, and neck braces, even though they did not have any identified fractures or diagnosed injuries. That's where she could keep getting that money from Medicaid, right? One child was determined to have been in a cast for nearly 2 years and 2 months of his life, despite having only 2 confirmed injuries from medical professionals. Another child stated that Borders would instruct the child to vomit at the doctor, even though he didn't need to, and to cough as if he had asthma, at which time asthma medication was prescribed. The defendant also forced one of the children to wear unprescribed hearing amplifiers, which led the child developing a boil on the back of her ear. The children also testified that Borders hit the children with charging cords, belts, and spoons, made them stand outside in the cold without clothing until their bodies felt like burning. Without clothing, y'all see, it actually says without clothing. Withheld food and regularly threatened to kill them. At times, the threats to kill were accompanied with knives and guns. Social media evidence from Borders' accounts indicated that she regularly discussed end of life decisions for one of the children with others, included at one point falsely stating that one of her children was on a ventilator and that they wouldn't know the cause of his death until an autopsy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Seriously? He was not on a ventilator, would not know the cause of death until an autopsy. Wow. Some kind of mother you are, you were given the gift of your children, and it was not for your own gains like you just did. You took advantage. But at least the kids are with some people that love and care about them, that's trying to show them that they matter, unlike somebody like you and your husband, too. Borders also met with Crow Wing County Community Services to request funding to care for one of the children through the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program. Border provided false information about the child's medical condition. As a result of this false information, the child was approved to receive personal care assistance services. Borders claimed to provide these PCA services and received over $18,000. Trial witnesses testified that they had known about Borders' actions and the false information she provided. PCA services would not have been authorized. The investigation also found that Borders had been nominated to receive several gifts and money for nonprofit foundations for her children. Whoa! Based on her lies. She's going to take the money herself and not help her kids. Y'all know that. With these gifts based on the false information she provided about her children's medical conditions. Judge Ainge ordered Borders held without bail and set a sentencing date of August the 7th, which we found out that it's close to 90 years. 39 years, sorry. Prior to sentencing, the court will issue an order on aggravating factors. Borders' parental rights to the three children have previously been terminated, and I hope they stay terminated. I think they did give up their rights. The Cross Lake Police Department, Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and Medicaid Fraud Control Unit all participated in the investigation of this case. The trial team included prosecutors from the MFCU and the Criminal Division of Attorney General Ellison's office. Attorney General Ellison extends his thanks to Crow Wing County Attorney Ryan and his staff for their support and assistance throughout the multi-week trial. Attorney General Ellison also extends a special thanks to Stearns County Attorney Janelle Kendall and her office for permitting the trial team to use the Stearns County Attorney's Office's courthouse facility dog, Nova. Nova provided comfort and support for the three child victims during their testimony at trial. Attorney General Ellison's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit works to uncover, investigate, and prosecute individuals or organizations that steal from Medicaid and that exploit, neglect, and abuse vulnerable victims. The Medicaid Fraud Control Unit receives 75% of its funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services under a grant award totaling $4,409,872 for federal fiscal year of 2025. The remaining 25% totaling $1,469,955 for fiscal year 2025 is funded by the state of Minnesota. 2025, Attorney General Ellison asked the legislature for enhanced funding for the MSCU and for additional tools to better investigate and prosecute its cases, including changes to its subpoena authority that would be consistent with the authority county attorneys have when conducting their investigations. The funding request to hire 9 more staff in the MFSU, including 7 new investigators and a new prosecutor, came at the recommendations of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General in order to bring the size of Minnesota's MFCU more in line with that of comparable states. An HHS OIG audit previously found that Minnesota's MFCU already punches above its weight. From 2020 to 22, Minnesota won the most convictions for provider fraud when compared with similarly sized states. While the legislature passed and Governor Walz signed into law some additional ongoing funding for the Attorney General's office overall this session, that appropriation did not specifically include Attorney General Ellison's line item funding request for more MFCU staff. The legislature also did not act on Attorney General Ellison's request for expanding subpoena authority or enhanced penalties under the law for committing Medicaid fraud. This case is also a prime example of the kind of case the criminal division is now able to accept from the county attorneys thanks to enhanced funding for the criminal division that the Minnesota legislature passed in 2023. Okay. All right. Good evening. Good to see you. Yes, she is trash. Hey, David. Good to see you as well. Yeah, she is a sorry piece of crap, ain't she? Sorry excuse for her mother there. I wanted to get this information out there and please pray for the children, all these involved, when they were tortured like this. And I'm hoping they will prosecute the father because he was right there. And usually, like if a daddy is abusing a child and the mother knows about it and she does nothing, they usually say arrest her as well because she did not tell, right? She condoned it. So I feel that that man needs arrested as well. I want to say thank y'all and be sure to pass this on. God bless each and every one of you.